Hey, good morning, everybody. It's great to be with you. Phil Friedman here on a really nasty day in Southern California. I'm talking some severe weather here. It's not so much the rain that you see accumulating on my window behind me, but man, there are some gale force winds, and that ocean out there is an absolute mess. It doesn't portend well for the future. We've got a lot. We'll cover our kids' Monte Carlo trip tomorrow morning. Not looking good, folks. And also, we'll talk a little fishing and so much more. You know what time it is. It's time for the morning briefing. Man, this cup has seen better days, hasn't it? It still represents the USA to me, and it still represents the morning briefing. So for the time being, until we get a new cup, we're going to stick with that one. All right, great to be with you all again this morning. Really inclement weather, as you can see. It is nasty out, and no time for you to even think about going out on the water, and that includes tomorrow. Let's start, first of all, with our Monte Carlo kids trip. It pains me to say that we're going to have to postpone it. We'll have a future date. I talked to John Woodrum down there at 22nd Street Land. He said, no problem, Phil. Whatever you need. You know, we are here to help. And I got to take my hat off to John and his son Gary, who came up with this idea for this kids fishing trip and provided the Monte Carlo for us. Really great people. 22nd Street Landing, numero uno. But it is just way too nasty to even contemplate doing it. Not that we're going to have this kind of weather tomorrow, but the residual from this wind is going to create high, nasty surf. And we want kids trips to be enjoyable. We don't want everybody out there seasick the first time you go. So we are canceled. I'll get a future date to you very, very soon. Now, we had planned on doing hot dogs from 1 to 4 in the afternoon at 22nd Street. And since we've already promoted that, we're going to continue to do it. That was mostly for everybody that was coming in from the kids trip. But come on down. What the heck? Danny Cadota is going to be there. Several of our staff is going to be there. We'll try to get Eddie Leland down there to tie some knots in. You can have a hot dog, a cup of coffee, a soft drink, whatever it is your little heart desires on Friedman Adventures and 22nd Street Landing. And the El Patron is also down there at 22nd Street Landing. You'll be able to take a look at it. May not be able to go on board because they're doing all kinds of renovations, but you'll be able to get a good look at it. It is nasty. I mean, just take a look at the ocean here this morning. Really, really nasty weather. I haven't seen this for a while. All this rain, of course, is good for us, but it's a really dangerous time to be thinking about going out on the water, of course, and that should be obvious. But sometimes, like, for example, tomorrow, you'll see no wind and no rain, and you'll think, hey, might as well go fishing, you know, on the surf or something. Not a good time to do that. Not a good time to be on any jetties or rocks or anything like that. We lose people every single year that way. So please be careful. I really mean that sincerely. Last night, I was at the Inland Saltwater Anglers Club. Wow, what a great group of guys and gals. Really lovely people. I had such a good time. They made me feel so welcome. They for the most part, stayed awake during my presentation. There was a few guys that fell asleep, but for the most part, they hung in there. And it was really a great time with a lot of great people. You should think about joining a club, and this is one of the great ones. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, you get together, you talk about your favorite sport, which is fishing, the camaraderie, you learn every single meeting, new stuff. They have charters. I mean, it was just a really great time, and I want to thank everybody who attended last night. I had a big crowd with a lot of great folks. Thank you so much for making me feel so welcome, and I hope to come out and see you all very soon. Again, in fact, one guy out there, Eric, was talking about this great trip he had fishing the Oaxaca coastline. And that's a part of Mexico where I live very near there. I lived in the state of Guerrero, right next to Oaxaca. Man, I'm telling you, first of all, I'm going to get Eric on a podcast because this just sounds like a magnificent adventure and angling opportunity. But not only that, I like to do that trip myself and go visit where I lived with the Amusco Indians nearby there. Go back there. I've been there for decades. So that would be a great trip. Eric, don't forget, I'm going to see you really, really soon. All right. Great club. Hope you all can get out there really, really soon. Don't forget our raffle tickets. You can buy those tomorrow if you'd like at 22nd Street Landing from 1 to 4, or you can just send me a text. The raffle drawing is going to be on the 19th. We have a 2-day trip on the Apollo in that raffle and several other great gifts. And I can send you the information right now. So just send me a text and, say, hey, I want raffle information. You can buy the raffles online with me, and I can send you photos of your tickets. High hopes that you win, and of course, those funds that are generated by the raffle help us to take more goods down to Mexico. And we have thousands of articles of clothing and so much more that we are moving across the border. Phil Capricio had to delay his trip to Cedros Island, but Phil, on his own, loaded up his yacht. There's no more room on there for anything else, school supplies and clothing and so much more. Phil, you've got my deep and abiding respect for what you're doing. He had to postpone because of this nonsense, but we'll see where we go from here. All right, let me just give you kind of a quick overview of the fishing because, well, you can see it's kind of nasty out. Now, there's an area down there by Cedros, about 220 miles south of the Mexican-American border, where those big tuna have been biting, and Long Range Boys are back on it again. We're going to continue to watch that very, very closely, but there's no reason why that is not going to continue. And it's beautiful, great. There are some 40-pound fish in there, but there's a lot of fish in that 100 to 250-pound class, biting on the 100-pound fluorocarbon. Of course, we like www.opsonusa.com. That fluoro is our favorite. Put in FA at checkout, and you'll get a love note from Greg Brown as well as a free gift. Really great fishing down there on that big grade fish. And of course, David Maestro had furnished us with some great photos of these big fish, impressive stuff. I mean, that's pretty close to home when you think about it, to be catching these long range size fish. And I know many of us have become accustomed to this. Perhaps even it's becoming the ordinary now, but not me. I mean, I've been around way too long to not realize how magnificent and special this kind of fishing is, how blessed we are to have these giant fish so close to home. You used to have to do a 16-day trip, an 18-day trip to get into a bite on fish the size that we're catching down there around Cedros right now. So it is really remarkable what's going on, and this is a good time for you to be thinking about heading down there. We'll continue to watch it and see where we go from here. Now, the guys that are fishing pongas out of there, and by the way, their weather's pretty good down there. It's got back to normal now. Down there, the ponga guys are catching copious amounts of rockfish, beautiful big lings and reds and all kinds of stuff, and they've had some good yellowtail fishing. Moving up a little closer, our friends at Bluefin out there on Punta Banda near Ensenada, they're catching great rockfish, big lings, and so much more down there around the Soledad Bank off Santo Tomas. They've had some really excellent fishing down there. They catch big bonita there around Punta Banda, and our friends out of Bluefin continue to hammer away at that. Arnie Sport Fishing, another good guy down there in Ensenada. You can find him on Facebook. And Costa Baja Sport Fishing, Diego Nuno is the owner of that. Perhaps you know Diego. He's a deckhand on board the Royal Star. Super great guy. Runs a great operation down there in that neck of the woods. Now, as we move you up into the San Diego area, that's another alternative for you if you want to catch rockfish, because they go into Mexican waters where the rockfish season remains open. It's closed in Southern California until April 1st. But going across the border, and they have half-day extended trips out of Seaforth and H&M and several of the landings down there, or you can do a Colonette trip. Now, Punta Colonette is located 120 miles south of the border. They go down there and catch all kinds of big rockfish, lings, and some excellent yellowtail action down there also. Many boats are running those trips right now out of Fisherman's Landing, Point Loma Sport Fishing, H&M, and Seaforth. That's a great way for you to get your rockfish fix right now. Local boats, they're going to be fishing sand bass and sculpin for the most part. Ventura Sport Fishing, the California, will be running tomorrow, and they're focusing on whitefish and sand dabs. So you can get on a boat out of Ventura Sport Fishing by calling 805-676-3474. But we're going to have this high surf situation, and it's pretty darn nasty right now, I'm telling you. really nasty. I like my new studio here inside the car where the audio is good and I'm staying dry, at least for the time being. So there are some alternatives available to you, and we're going to get back to some decent weather. Now, Tanner Bank is another area where we've been catching bluefin tuna. Most of that fish is 18 to 40 pounds, some bigger, but most of it's in that 18 to 25 pound class again. It has been biting on the live squid. It really requires that you drop your fluorocarbon down to about 25, sometimes even smaller than that. You can get away, for the most part, with a 1/0 size hook and a live squid, but sometimes you'll even have to drop that hook size down, depending upon how finicky those fish are. Now, we have cooler water temperature out there, like 56, 58 degrees out there, and you would think that would be the end of it. That fish would not want to bite in that low water temperature when their metabolism slows down. The last trips out there were much slower. Tribute had 10, Freedom had 15, but we're not sure what to chalk that up to. A lot of guys cited a lack of current, but we do have that reduced water temperature. We're wondering to ourselves, is this just the end of it? Finally. I mean, it's been going on and on and on, and we really don't have the answer quite yet. The Freedom 22nd Street landing in San Pedro is scheduled to go Friday night. Of course, they're watching the weather very, very closely. You're definitely going to want to have that lighter fluorocarbon, but I would not leave your heavy stuff at home because every day is different. You never know if the bite is going to fire up the day you're out there. You can go to the heavier line, and you'll definitely want to do that if you can. So keep that in mind. Freedom going Friday night. 22nd Street landing, weather dependent, of course. We're going to be watching that very, very closely. The reason why that bluefin, at least we surmise the reason why it hasn't gone anywhere, is because of the tremendous amount of market squid that is present on Tanner Bank and surrounding areas for that matter. I'll get into that in a moment, but that squid is just like a drive-through restaurant for fish, and those bluefin have all the feed they want. They're munching out every day on it. The food chain is just working the way it's supposed to, and those fish are not going anywhere, at least for the time being. And if the Freedom does get out there, we're going to get a very good idea about that bite. Was that due to a lack of current the last time, or is this thing starting to fizzle out? We'll see as time goes on. We'll continue to monitor that for you all very, very closely. You know, the further north you go right now, the worse this is. In fact, they're talking about up in San Francisco, a bomb cyclone type of event, a weather event that could result in deaths. So we are keeping everybody up there in our thoughts and prayers. It's quite nasty here, as you can see, but not as bad as it's going to be up there in that neck of the woods. So we'll continue to monitor that for you very, very closely. All right, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, raffle tickets to help us fund our Mexico efforts. Come down to 22nd Street Landing tomorrow from 1 to 4 in the afternoon and just hang out with us. It's a good opportunity for you to see the Friedman Adventures studio. We might even put you to work if you come down, because we've got a whole bunch of clothing that is at the landing that we need to separate into kid sizes and adult men sizes and women sizes. So I'm thinking tomorrow will be a good day if you don't mind. And you don't have to do that. You can just kick back, have a cup of coffee or a soft drink and a hot dog, and talk fishing with some really great folks. Once again, great night last night at the Inland Saltwater Anglers Fishing Club. I had a ball, and I think you would do yourself right to get your family involved in that and get more kids out fishing. As I told everybody last night, it's more than fishing. Friedman Adventures, the morning briefing. It's about positivity. It's about getting out into the great outdoors and away from your phones. It's about families coming together. It's all of that and so much more. Incidentally, I'll be putting up our charter list here shortly, probably in the next day or so. Just booked a trip on board the Endeavor. I'm telling you that right now because that is going to go really fast. The Endeavor out of Ventura Sport Fishing with Tucker McCombs, they just have achieved a level that is really incredible. I mean, the work ethic on that boat, the level of expertise, the customer service, and then all the fish they catch. Man, I don't know how you can beat Ventura Harbor Sport Fishing, the Endeavor, the California, the Island Spirit, Pacific Dawn, all those guys making that one of the best landings on the Southern California coast. So, with all that, I'm going to say goodbye. Sounds like the rain has stopped for a little while. I might be able to get out of here without getting soaked. Take care, my friends, and as always, I hope to see you really, really soon. Have a great day.
This is not a translator. I'm going to let her introduce herself to you.
I'm Desiree.
Oh my God. Holy shit. I'm so happy. Oh my God. Phil, how the hell did you do that? Look at that fork.
Big spinning you to the rail. Go, 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 go. Nice fork, man. That's a good one. Watch out, watch out. Oh! What in the hell is going on here? Another big bass on the boat. There he goes. Oh, that is just a gorgeous fish. Hey, I had to take a break. I've been catching past full speed. All of us have caught release. My good job, Jonathan. Fish is in the anchor, and these boys got it out. And good job. Yeah, Rico. Definitely a yellowtail. Nice fish, you guys. Bill, nice one.
Hooked up on a bass rod. Never go bear hunting with a BB gun.
That's a nice one. Pretty redfish.
Taking everything in.
A nice one, Mike. Woo! Yeah. Nice, Mike.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh my God, nice fish. Danny, good job.
Thank you.
Hey, what was that on, 30 pound?
30 pounds.
Beautiful grade. What
I
grade
had
is
to go up
that?
to heavy line.
What do you think?
50, 60 or so.
Yeah, running on you again? That's a nice fish, Lori. Wow, look at that. Nice, beautiful fish. Oh my God. Hey, Lori, congratulations.
Thank you, Philip.